Yeah, it was something that I hadn't really seen anyone else doing because I love listening to podcasts and I had been listening for a long time to different podcasts and I was like, I always want to like ask a question. Like whenever they were talking about something, I'm like, oh, I would ask the guest this. And then the host would just be like, cool answer. Let's go to the next question. And I'm like, oh, you should follow up.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought this would be a cool way to get the listeners involved to where they can be part of this as well. Um, but yeah, okay. Facebook shows that we're here, but is not going live yet. Do I need to put a title? Oh, I do. Okay. Uh, we're live. There we go. Okay. Well, sweet. Yeah. Well, yeah, as Facebook's figuring that out, we're live on YouTube. So hello everyone. Watching live or watching the replay. We're talking with Jada and David today and all about creating sets and personal projects and just like their journey from weddings to just the really creative like studio shoots with all of y'all's custom made sets and everything, which I am waiting to get into. I'm just like, I love them so much. But yeah, drop a comment in if y'all have any questions. Say hey, let us know where you're listening in from. And yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get started. Jada, David, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thanks. We're really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with y'all. I'm just like, I feel like my face is getting more red as we're going because I'm just like, oh, I want to ask this and I want to talk about this, and I'm just like trying to hold it back. So, but could you give us a little background into y'all, like where you're based, what you do, all those kinds of things?
Yeah. So we're based in Richmond, Virginia, and we combine photography with set design, and we take very loud, colorful, surreal photos, kind of like you can sort of see some of the ones behind me.
Yes.
And we do a lot of work with musicians, fashion designers, creative brands, and a ton of our own personal projects as well. And then before we got into all of this, we were wedding photographers and portrait photographers for about a decade.
Yeah, that is very cool. And also for the listeners, if you're not watching on YouTube or Spotify with the video, definitely like scroll in the show notes and go check out their Instagram and TikTok and everything because these like your conceptual art is just really really cool and very different than I've seen a lot of photographers take. How did y'all like get there? Like was there something just kind of like in the background when y'all were wedding photographers and shooting all the pretty details and sunset golden hour couples and everything that was just like somewhere in the back like I want something different, or was this something that y'all kind of fell into?
I think it was like a I want something different type of thing. I had so much fun. I think I have fun setting things up and figuring out how to make like the mechanics of it work and all of that. And so I think our wedding career hit a point where I felt like I figured everything out, that I was on to like the next phase of figuring out how to get a second team, how to do like a photo booth, how to do video. And so I think there was like this thought of like what's more, but it was this what we're making right now like did not exist in my mind or Jada's mind, I don't think. So I think that it the need of wanting something different was there, but like the what wasn't. And the big like thing that changed it was 2020, and this was like our 2020 project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that like there is a little bit of it, like this kind of always was there, like to a certain extent, because we started dating. Well, I I I started photography in high school. It's what I majored in college. It's always been like a passion, and I always loved taking photos of women, but they were always these kind of like sad, dark photos.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and like,
Oh no, I totally get that.
and just very much like I was just using natural light most of the time. Like it wasn't super, nothing I did was very technical. It was always about like the emotion and the connection. And then when David and I started dating, he was like, what if we add some colored lights in? Like, what if we like mix it up a little bit? And so he helped me finish like my my senior thesis project in college, which was this like show with these, they were kind of surreal photos with like kind of mixed like different colored lights in there. And
Oh, those were cool.
it was the first time we like collaborated on something together, but we like left it there. We never did anything else with that.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
You're like, this is a college thing. It's
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
did it.
How,
Let's move
how do
on.
we make money now with that skill?
yeah,
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that like passion of taking like, I don't know, more conceptually portrait photos was there, but
That is,
we brushed
yeah.
it under the rug.
I haven't really
hard.
thought about that in a while, and that is so
Yeah.
true, because like it was Jada's style, like all this stuff in our current work, it's like Jada's posing and like still the same thing, like very evolved, but like in a world that I create, right? So like that was what we did back then. I was like, she still did her posing, but then I created the world with lighting and like it should be in this corner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Mhm. He would
yeah,
art direct me
I would art
pretty
direct
hard.
it. Yeah. So that's
Very
true.
nice.
I haven't thought about that in a while.
No, that's very cool. Yeah, I like really identify with that, Jada, of like the posing, and just like a lot of my photos just like went super sad for some reason. Whenever I would pose people, I'm like, let's just do one with like really pensive look, just like out this way, away
Yeah.
from the camera. I'm just gonna get like some split lighting on you or something, and just I don't really know why. Probably because something internally, who knows, you can talk to a therapist about it. But like, no, I love that was like y'all's first collaboration, and like a small window of what was to come years later with y'all, like David, you building all of these sets, which I also love woodworking. So like seeing y'all's behind the scenes videos, I'm like, ooh, okay, how are you doing this? What's that joint over here? And yeah, no, they were like super smooth too. Like the sets look amazing.
Appreciate it.
But
Thank you.
yeah, like, so okay, you mentioned like this kind of came about around, COVID lockdown times. Was that just like couldn't shoot weddings anymore, so now let's pivot into something else to do? Or how did that kind of come about?
So we did like the classic like wedding, portrait, headshot, boudoir. Like that was like our services that we had. And so we rented this new studio to host meetings with future clients, like brides and grooms. And then we also had a little spot in there to do boudoir shoots and to do like headshots in. So we rented this. It was brand new. They just finished. It was so nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It even came with a pool, which
Yeah.
was pretty wild.
Ooh, hey.
So it was like a really cool spot. But then COVID happened, and it just was empty. And like we weren't using it. We weren't sure what to do with it. And during that time, everybody went through the like going through hobbies and phases and everything.
Yeah.
And ours kind of came together where it was like, what if Jada focused on like posing and directing in the studio, and what if I focused on the lighting in the studio? And so we were able to come together in that space and start exploring those. And so that was kind of the start of us getting into studio photography.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a very needed thing, because just to like put it in context, we signed that lease on the studio mid-February 2020.
Oh man.
And then like by March like 2020, that was supposed to be our like most lucrative like wedding year ever. Like,
Oh yeah.
nothing. So it was there's a little bit of like depression and sadness, like what do we do with ourselves mixed into that. So coming up with that concept of like, okay, you focus on posing, you focus on lighting, let's figure out what our work looks like in a studio, was like a life raft that we really needed to like deal with all of that.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, no, for anyone who's ever like rented a studio, it's always like a huge leap of just like, okay, I hope like we're gonna book this out to be able to pay for rent and everything, and then like the next month it was like, okay, actually no, we have no one.
Yes.
Oh man, well, I'm really glad that y'all like turned that around and didn't like just like sit around and be like, well, I guess I don't know, we'll have to like close up the studio, but instead like pivoted and like asked questions and got curious about what can we do differently because we can't do what we have been doing. And I think that's a huge thing for anyone, like especially like the wedding season right now is really weird because it's like post COVID, there was a huge boom of weddings and everyone got used to that. And now it's like back to where weddings kind of were
Uh,
in like 2018, 2019, which is
uh-huh.
still a good amount, but it's not like the boom, 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 shooting 3 weddings in a weekend because everyone's wanting to hire me. And I think a lot of people forget like what it used to be.
Right.
Mhm.
That's
And this
interesting.
might be a really good time for some people to pivot. I'm one of those people that's like wanting to pivot. And part of it is like clearing out half of my garage so I can have a little in home studio
Yeah.
and like make my own sets and stuff. So like very inspirational watching y'all's reels and stuff and getting to talk to you right now. But yeah, like I don't know, with that, like, was that something that just like popped off right away, or was it something like doing your conceptual work? Was that something that y'all went straight into, or starting with the studio? Was it more of kind of the same kind of posing with just like the different colored lights and everything?
So that was a journey. It's so this career path has been a
Yeah,
journey for us. So
yeah,
it's like it wasn't like we switched and then it went over. You're better with dates, so you can probably like do the timeline of it a little better than me.
So like we had our studio. It was literally like we never moved into it. So it was like completely empty. And it was
okay,
in this like shared communal space. And so we were like scared to leave the house for like a couple months. But
yeah,
then by like, I don't know, May, June, we were like, okay, let's set our studio up. So we ordered some seamless paper backdrops and we went like really colorful with them, like bright pink, bright blue, purple. And we got I got Lindsay Adler's posing book and I just started like flipping through that and I like really took in a lot of her like fashion poses and just general posing tips and I would just kind of like work through that and like apply them to different shoots that we were doing. And so it started just with like it was like it really was our past brides who were the people who like showed up for us as
Hmm.
our first models
nice,
and we would just try different poses like a step through pose or like we did this one shoot with like a blow up unicorn float and bubbles and like just silly like
yeah,
playful things. But it was the first time that we started to like style shoots down to like we would provide the outfits. We had people come and help us with hair and makeup. Like so we're starting to build out the concepts in a way that we had never done before.
yeah,
And that the work looked so much better. We were like really impressed and we were learning a lot. And
yeah.
then what really changed it though was when David was like, you can take this part.
Oh, funny. So I did theater in high school, and we built these things called Hollywood Flats, and I think I was getting frustrated a little bit about having every time I wanted to change the color, you had to go and buy a new roll of paper.
Yeah.
And so I had this idea one night to maybe build these flats, paint them, and then also like kind of make them corners of the room or like something different than just a flat wall. So we ended up building two of these flats and created a corner of a room and had it somebody come in. We styled it. We matched the paint to the outfit. We did like the very beginnings of like what we do now and had a photo shoot. And we were just like really, really stoked about it. Like so blown away about what we just
It
created.
looked so much more like high end and
Yeah.
polished and thoughtful, especially with
Yeah.
like how we styled the paint with the outfit. It all came together in a much stronger way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because like, Jada, you were talking about how like starting off you did a bunch of natural light and just like placing people where the light is. And that is 100% the opposite of like what y'all do now, where it's like very intentional of creating the space to put someone in. And even like David, you were saying, of like matching the paint colors with the outfits, and like that is something that I think that intentionality and planning before a photo shoot always elevates, no matter like the scale of it. You don't have to be like building all of these sets and everything, but like even if you're just like communicating with your clients about what their wardrobe is and
Yeah.
talking to them about like, we're going to be at this location, these colors would be good to wear because
Yeah.
it would bring out, the colors of the wall or whatever, instead of just like them showing up and you'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I have had those. I had the the engagement photos where the dude like shows up in a white t-shirt, jeans, and a baseball cap, and I'm like, all right, we are gonna do something today. This is gonna be interesting. But yeah, no, like that intentionality, like it really does elevate everything and gets your creative juices going too. Once you see, because I'm sure like once y'all saw that first uh, shoot where you like created that like that corner of the room and matched the colors and everything and set up the lights and had the Lindsay Adler poses and stuff to do too. It was just like, this is what we can do. Okay, what can we do next time?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Okay, so y'all were there for a few months before y'all started the 100 set project, correct? Because that was like early 2021.
Yes.
Yeah. So after we did a couple of these shoots, and they just kept kind of like, we kept going a little more into them, and they were getting a little more extreme. And then we naturally thought like, well, this is kind of like commercial photography. Like maybe we need to like get an agent or something like that. So our first step was a friend of a friend knew somebody. It's an agent, right? That we asked to look at our work, and they went to our website and they noticed that like, oh, like you have like 4 portrait shoots, but like the rest is like wedding and family and stuff like that. So they're like, you need a stronger portfolio for like to even be considered for by anybody.
They're like, the photos are good, but you don't have a portfolio to show. You need a lot more.
Yeah. And I'm somebody that like takes feedback and like kind of like stomps on it and like goes to an extreme. So we kind of like, we're like, we need to make more of these shoots, and how can we do it? And so I had an idea to try to do 100 of these in a year, which was the following year, right? And the goal was just to do 100 shoots and 100 sets in the year to like really make a portfolio that then we could go and share that new portfolio. Because we knew we had weddings lined up, we still had family portraits lined up, so we knew that we were fine financially, but we were like, let's just go hard with this work.
Yeah, and it timed out really well that like as all this was happening, it was like December, so we essentially made it like our New Year's resolution. Let's do 100 sets, 100 shoots in 1 year, and we did set 1 on January 1st, 2021, and set 100 on December 31st, 2021. So it truly took us like a full year to complete.
That's so cool. Yeah, no, I'm very similar to you, David, of just like, you're going to tell me this thing? Okay, cool. I'm going to do that 200%.
Yes.
I'm just going to run with it.
Yeah.
And like, so for these, like the very first ones, because I'm thinking of like the listeners who are like, that sounds really cool. I do want to pivot like maybe out of weddings or out of family portraits or something into something more like studio like or product photography or whatever they're wanting to pivot into. Were these like free shoots that y'all were doing with past couple or past clients? Or okay, yeah, you're nodding. Okay.
I didn't want to. Okay, so when we were doing family portraits and wedding photography and all of those things, we were taking a skill and making it match what the clients needed in our area. So we're providing the service for our community basically. And I saw what that happened, because I guess Jada did bring up a good point at the beginning of the conversation. From what we did her last year in college to weddings, it was like a big difference. It was like very art versus like pictures of family and stuff, right? So I was very intentional and very like stern with like, we're not taking any money for the next year on these projects, because I just wanted to have a place to create art and see what we could create without having to please anybody but ourselves.
Yeah, because I think the thing that maybe we hadn't mentioned was like after almost like 10 years of shooting like weddings and family, we were like pretty burnt out and feeling very uninspired. Like we were just doing it on autopilot. Like we'd gotten so rehearsed and like good at it that it just wasn't challenging. We weren't using our creativity. We were really bored.
Yeah.
And so we knew we wanted to take more creative photos, but we didn't even know like what is our style, what is our voice, like what do we want to say? We felt really lost. And I kind of contributed a lot of why that happened was so we were shooting so much just to serve others, to get the photos they wanted and not really like fulfilling our own creative vision. So with this project, that was like a big parameter, was like, this is completely like self-financed. We aren't going to accept any money for it. If someone does want to pay us for one of these shoots, we are not going to accept it. This is like fully our vision to see what does our creativity look like now? Like, what is our voice? What can we do? And I think that what came out of us in like the first few sets we built before we even started the 100 set project was so surprising to us. We were like, where did that come from? Like, how did we make that? I don't know. Like, whoa. So we just kind of wanted to let it like run wild and see what was inside of us.
Yeah. No, I love that whenever you're having someone pay, even if you're doing like, hey, we're doing half off sessions because we're starting this new thing, it's still people are paying you and you're wanting to show up for what they're wanting.
Yeah.
And like getting the input from them and being like, okay, well, yeah, maybe we can do it that way. Or I've seen other people do this, so I'm going to kind of like lean toward what is successful for other people. But having that where it is free and people are showing up, they're getting photos, they're like models and everything, that's like you're providing stuff, but this is 100% for you and building your portfolio, building your creativity, and just like building your skills in this new genre, I think is huge, because like it just gives you that freedom to create really crazy sets with like asymmetrical windows and stuff that most people would not be like, hey, could you build this set for me, because this is what I'm wanting. But you can do fun stuff like that, which is very like, I see those and I'm just like, it looks very Beetlejuice-esque. Is that like a little inspo from there?
Yeah, the wonkiness. I enjoy how he does it. Like Tim Burton does like all the sets of wonkiness and all that. And so yeah, it's in there. It's in the inspiration pool.
Yeah. I had never seen Beetlejuice until like a year and a half ago. So that was like kind of like cool to see how that I could see the influence then. But
yeah, that's very cool.
But yeah, just pulling inspiration.
It's kind of interesting. So I think in the order of like sets I've made, I started experimenting with like forced perspective first. And forced perspective gives you kind of like, you do wonky shapes to kind of exaggerate. And so then I think I started making shapes that were flat, wonky, like I was doing the forced perspective. So then if you shoot like a wonky forced perspective shape straight on, it's not going to have that effect. So I do think that's kind of like the evolution of how I came to like that weird window. It was like, because I had that crazy shape of the forced perspective stage that I did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, so that's like the other thing to kind of touch on, I guess, like about the 100 set project was like, it was a self-funded project. So like we couldn't be building completely new sets every single time. So we had to take like the existing set pieces we had and like repurpose them, cut them down, reshape them, like set them up differently to create as much variation, different sets. We would do different paint jobs, but they were all, for the most part, the same set pieces.
Yeah, all the same flats.
And so when he's saying like we did this one shoot very early on that was this like forced perspective stage that had this like retro striping pattern. It came towards the camera. It was like really cool. We used that stage like probably like 10 different times throughout the
Turned
project.
into a table. It turned into like a ceiling.
Yeah.
Like it just worked its way through. Yeah.
And that created a lot of like the interesting shapes and like, I don't know, just having a parameter like that where you only have a budget for X amount of wood. So how
Yep.
are you gonna reuse it? It felt like a limitation at first, but it really unlocked so much more creativity.
That's what a lot of limitations end up doing. Like they feel like, oh no, these are walls, these are barriers, like keeping
Hmm.
me in. But then it it really forces you to be creative and to to use what you're working with. Like one of my wedding photography mentors only shoots with a 35 millimeter and an 85 millimeter lens. That's it throughout the day. It was like, if you want to zoom, you move your feet
I
and
love
you get
that.
closer. And I started doing that, and I was like, it opened up a lot more creativity for me to where I'm not just using a 24 to 70 and just like, all right, I'm going to zoom in to get this shot. It's like, if I want to zoom in and get close to like these tiers over here, I got to get over by their shoulder, and like they have to be comfortable with me. And then that transitioned into me like really pushing like getting comfortable with people and introducing myself early on and like having being more of like a personality than just like showing up with my camera and like, I don't know, I'll just take photos. And like that transition or like transformed the way that I shoot weddings now. And like I love those barriers uh that we have of like, you know, y'all were self-funding this. You're like, we can't just like, we're not going to go take out like $100,000 loan to go do all of these things that may or may not pan out to something bigger at the end. You're like being creative of what can we turn this into a table? Let's turn this into a table.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, and like how you paint different stripes and force perspective and like that kind of creativity came from those barriers. And I think that's really great, really great to think of for anyone who's just like, I can't do this because of X, because of my money, or because of where I live. And like I live in like central Texas. Everything is flat here and boring. But like if you look around, you can find some really interesting things to shoot. Uh, and I think that's really cool to just like, you know, jump over those barriers.
Yeah, and they create like happy accidents because like what you were saying
Yeah.
with the lenses, like because you had to you decided to use just two lenses and you got closer to people, then you like start communicating better. So it just like makes all like that's your new path basically because of the barrier that you had, and now you've carved your own way and like it created something completely new.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I have a bunch of different lenses that I use, but I still like the skills that came from setting those parameters for just a few weddings, like really changed everything.
I love
And
that.
I
like
used to with like weddings. Jada would usually during the reception shoot wide, and I would have like 85 millimeter, and I would challenge myself like I'm only using 85 this whole like reception, and I
yeah.
had it wide open, and I was just like just like playing around with it. But I do remember like all those like cool challenges and like how it changes your work. It's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. And you kind of have to do that, especially like, you know, y'all were in the wedding industry for 10 years. I'm coming into my 13th now. And like it is weddings are very different. There are different things that happen, but for the most part, it is the same
Yep.
every single weekend. It's just like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, we're getting ready. First look, cool. Ceremony, we're gonna do some toasts and people make some corny jokes. All right, cool. Now we're dancing, and that's the
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
The corny jokes,
The
the
court.
like hearing the same jokes, like
I
over.
know.
It's like always the same type of person that is saying the same.
They think they're
joke.
so unique
Yeah.
too. Gets me.
Oh yeah,
And
my
then
favorite is like meeting the best man and being like, I know what joke he's gonna use.
Mhm.
He's gonna talk about Chat GPT. This is gonna be
That's
good.
yeah.
Yeah. So how did I mean I'm assuming your 100 set project really transformed y'all's business and like gave you that portfolio y'all were looking for and everything. How did that like really change things for y'all from the beginning, January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021?
I think like as people, the biggest like change it did for us was I think it changed how we like identified ourselves, because before that, like if someone were to say like, what do you do for a living? I would answer, I'm a photographer. And then after doing that project, it shifted to I'm an artist. And like photography is my medium, but the way that we started to think about creating an image, it became much more than like the documentation that I used to do, and more of like this like very thoughtful, intentional approach. And it really shifted like how I think about photography as a whole.
Yeah.
And then for our business, it did so many different things. We shared this whole journey, this whole 100 set project like on our Instagram account, and it created this beautiful community where people were like cheering us on, people were getting involved in it created so many new relationships. And then halfway through the project, our social media, our Instagram account got deleted, and it was heartbreaking. But
oh no.
Oh
no, that's the worst.
It was a low blow. But
it was like exactly at set 50 too. It was
pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But we didn't get it back, so we had to rebuild again. And but it just that act of sharing and like building a community through social media, it's been a really powerful tool that we've continued to share our behind the scenes, to share what we've learned, just to connect with people. It's really what opened the door to us to being able to do that.
I mean, I have felt connected to y'all watching the behind the scenes that y'all share. I'm just like, okay, I want to see the next set that y'all put together. And I want to see like the behind the scenes and what it looks like whenever you like step out and you see the box and like the shoot through hanging there and all those. I'm just like, oh, that's so cool that this and that turned into this photo. And like it is one of the things that I love about social media. There's a lot that I don't, but one of the things that I love is that community aspect. Whenever you are sharing your story, sharing something of like, hey, I'm doing this thing and come along, I'm gonna share it, you can check it out if this interests you. And then it does, and then people like that's where I think a lot of us like we try to, I don't know, like become someone else on social media and like, I don't know, this is working for so and so, so I'm gonna post this kind of stuff. And if you really just post about your journey and what you're doing, then your people will get drawn into like, oh, that's interesting, subscribe, follow. I want to see the next one. Yeah.
And that's what this whole kind of other version of our career also kind of felt for us too, is because I feel like when we were shooting weddings, we knew how to market ourselves and like to attract the clients that we wanted to attract in our city. And it wasn't necessarily like a complete representation of like who we actually are. And with this new work, it lets us be us. And like there's like this freedom to it that I felt like we were trying to like put ourselves in a box to fit in before. And now we're building the boxes that we get to create in.
Yeah. And then you get those artists and musicians that are just like, that's the look that I'm going for. Y'all are my people. I'm going to hire you to do this kind of thing. And let's like brainstorm these concepts. And like, that's the best whenever people are finding your work because it resonates with them. And it's also exactly what you want to be doing. Because then you get those dream clients where it's like, oh, this is amazing. This is so insane that we're actually doing this right now, like doing what we love and they're loving it. And it's not anything of like, well, I have to get these photos for social media, or I have to get this because, you know, this vendor is going to want those photos or that kind of stuff. Right. It's just, you're shooting for yourself and for your client, and the Venn diagram is like almost a circle. It's great.
Yeah. And that's been like the other cool thing too, is like before we were only like serving, I mean, like our community really, and we would travel within, a few hours here and there for weddings. But now with the projects we're doing, they're bigger projects, they're longer term projects, and pretty much none of them are where we live. So like through creating the Hundreds Up project and sharing it and like growing our social following, it's allowed us to, now we book work all over the country. And it's been really cool, the doors that's opened.
Yeah. A little logistical thing with the sets. Do y'all still build those there in Richmond and then travel with them, or are you okay? I would imagine so, and not like going to like a Lowe's somewhere in California.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well, so in California, we're lucky because her little brother has a garage and he lets me build out of there when we get a gig on that coast.
Oh, that's
so I am going to like the Home Depots and stuff there. It's pretty. I love going to grocery stores and like woodworking stores or Home Depots and stuff all over the place. They're always like the same, but like so different. So it's like fun to check out,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I try to design all my sets there's like this concept of being able to transport. So everything kind of is built to be able to be taken apart and put back together pretty quickly. So nothing's ever really like permanent, like screwed to anything. They just are like their own little thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I built like a tiny set for like doing wedding expos of just like this cool wall that I hung some photos on and stuff, because I didn't want just like the plain black drape that was behind everyone else's. And that was one thing that I was like, I'm gonna build this to where I can like, it just has a couple braces that I'll like screw together to where I can unscrew that, and these are pieces. And yeah, I love that kind of thing. Listeners don't. I'm sure it's just me and David geeking out over here. But like for kind of as we're wrapping this up, for the listeners who are maybe on the fence about like changing genres, or they're inspired by this talk and just like, I want to try something new, what is something that y'all would recommend that they do, or something that they focus on, or questions to ask themselves to kind of push more toward doing a personal project in their business?
I would say that if you are feeling uninspired or like at all bored with what you're shooting, it's because you've stopped growing within that. And so if that's you, like, do a personal project. It's going to help build out your skill sets, but also like respark that passion that you once had for what you were doing. And that one of like, I think that a couple of the best things to do would be to really define your parameters. Like I can't speak to the importance of that enough with a personal project, and kind of using your parameters to gamify whatever your personal project is. So like set a time limit for yourself. Like I think that worked really well for me and David, being like, this project starts on this date and it ends on this date. But then you also have to think, okay, well, how much time do I actually have to put towards this project? And then you need to take the actions to go schedule it out on your calendar, like actually set that time aside. And if you need to book a studio, if you need to find a model, if you need to do whatever, do that and actually line all of that up on your calendar, because then it helps to hold you accountable to follow through with that. And then also to define your financial parameters. Like, okay, I have $50 I can spend on my personal shoot this week. So that's not a ton of money. What can I do? Do I need to go to a thrift store? Do I need to make something? Like, what can I get for free? Just like thinking through that and using those limitations to make you more creative. And then I can't speak enough to like the power of making your project public, like sharing it on your social media, letting people know you're doing this, because there might be times where you like really don't feel like doing it, and having that extra level of like accountability, like you said you were doing this, people are going to ask you about it. Oh, you booked a model. It's like, it'd be not the best to cancel last minute. Like it makes you follow through with things in a bigger way.
Yeah. I need that because I love my comfort, and I love if I have the option of doing something, it's like that John Mulaney joke of like, you had the option of doing something or doing nothing, and you did something and you're here. So thank you for like showing up to this show. Like if I have the option of doing nothing and like hanging out at home, I'm gonna do that. Cause also like my family is like priority one. So I always want to hang out with them anytime that I have. But if I have something on my calendar, it's that's how I get myself to do something
Mm-hmm.
is I have to put it in my calendar. Even if it is rest. I schedule rest for myself every now and then because I'm like, I'm gonna need this. I have a busy weekend. I'm gonna need rest on Monday. But no, I love all of those tips. And like as you're talking, I'm like thinking of personal projects that I want to do. So this is very inspiring, and I have loved this conversation. Before we like wrap up and let people know where they can follow you and see y'all's art and what you do, there's part of the show that I like to do where we talk about what we're loving this week, and it can be literally anything: book, TV show, movie, a new food, podcast, whatever. What are y'all loving this week?
This is like for all the women out there, but I am loving Newly right now. I just did my my first month of Newly last month, and for if you don't know, John, it's this website where
I don't.
Okay, it's great.
Okay.
It's great. It's this website where you get to rent clothes, and it's like a lot of nice designer clothes. You get to, it's like $100 a month, and you get 6 pieces of clothing sent to you that you get to wear for a month and then send them back. And it's really nice, especially if like, I don't know, like if you're doing YouTube videos or you're shooting a wedding like every other weekend, you don't want to be wearing the same thing every time.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
No, I love that. Yeah, because I feel like for me, like I'm always like in the same like 3 shirts for like all of these podcasts.
It's a hard battle.
It is a hard battle, and sometimes I'll like the one that releases. Like I released an episode yesterday, and I was wearing a blue shirt, and I was like, I'm not gonna wear a blue shirt in this interview with Jada and David. But
exactly.
No, okay, Newly, that's great. I will have that linked in the show notes for everyone.
Yes, share that with your wife.
I will. Yeah, because she works at Texas A&M, and everyone is just in maroon all the time. It's like maroon, white, or gray. But maybe she can pick a bunch of other colored things and then show up in like lime green, and just everyone would be like, "You look so good. You're not in maroon."
Exactly. Feels good when you get a compliment on what you're wearing.
It really does. Is what you're wearing currently Newly?
No, this was a really lucky thrift store find.
Nice. It is very colorful and very fun. I love it.
Thank you.
I also love your shirt, David.
Thank you. Our logo from like our wedding days.
Nice. Okay, so David, what are you loving this week?
So I'm just really into like drag racing right now. And when I'm editing photos, I'll just sit there watching drag racing like all day and stuff. So that's my big in.
Okay. Is there certain like I don't know much about drag racing. Is there like teams like F1 or something that you're just like, I'm
so
really
it's
for the
like
Ferrari drag racers?
No, it's like it's like if I were to build a car and then take it to the racetrack, it's like that kind of situation. And they're just like, they're really cool. They're all like pretty much handmade 2 chassis cars that people sit there and weld together and figure out the mechanics, and then they just like push them as fast, and like they blow up sometimes, so it's just it's cool.
Yeah, you gotta push the limits.
They're pushing the limits, and I love that concept of like building something to break it and then to like rebuild it and then figure it out.
Yeah, you got to have those skills to like rebuild it, because if you're just like someone built it for you and then it's like, well, I'm not gonna push this as hard because if it breaks, I'm gonna have to like send it out and all that. But yeah, if you break it, it's like, we're back to the garage, and I'm gonna beef up this one. I'm gonna get the next size bigger.
And you go out the next weekend and you do it again. It's cool. I love the concept.
That's cool. Yeah, I do love that. I love the sound of cars.
Oh,
I was never like
hate it. I hate it so much.
I don't know. I do love the sound of cars from a ways away. Like I've gone to like some races or like monster truck rallies, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I cannot hear, like, back even worse than wedding days of
Yeah.
like the loud speakers. But no, that's cool. I recently watched, I know it's not drag racing, but it just made me think of it. My wife and I recently watched Gran Turismo, the movie about
Mhm.
the game simulation, which I remember playing Gran Turismo as like a teenager, college something, whenever that came out. And I was like, I don't like this because it's too realistic. I don't like that I have to like actually steer. I just want to do like Cruising USA or something where I can
Yeah.
just like double tap the accelerator and do a flip. But yeah, it was a very interesting movie. Not what I'm
What
loving
is
this week. Oh,
what's
Gran Turismo.
what was interesting about it? Like, what does that mean? Was it bad and just like you made your way
Oh,
through
no, no,
it,
no.
or?
No, no, no. Very interesting in just like the story. So it follows a kid, I think he's like 20 something or so,
Mhm.
and he is one of the fastest Gran Turismo players. Like online, he's like
Ah.
set records for different courses. And then the someone for Nissan has an idea of getting all of these gamers together, because it's not necessarily a game, it's a simulation. So it's like
Gotcha.
you have all the pedals and you have the shifters and everything. It's meant to be exactly how it feels in the car itself. So they like got like the best, I think, 8 or 10 people together, and
Uh-huh.
then had them actually in the race cars, and they raced. And then the one who was the best ended up going on to go to actual races, and he's still a race car driver today. But he went from playing Gran Turismo in his bedroom to racing the
That's
exact
pretty cool.
tracks that he knew, like
Oh, that's
with his
cool.
eyes closed.
Wow.
So yeah, it's an interesting movie. David Harbour's in it, and I love
Mhm.
David Harbour. But yeah, so that's good. That can be what I'm loving this week. Yeah, we'll do
That's a
that.
good.
There you
Yeah,
go.
That's a good story about visualizing.
Yeah.
I think
exactly.
I
There
like
you
that.
go.
Yeah, and just like going all for what you got. So cool. Well, Jada, David, where can people find you online? Where can they follow along with y'all's journey and see everything you're doing?
It's pretty much Jada and David, everything. So it's like at
Cool.
Jada and David on Instagram, TikTok, X or Twitter or whatever it is these days. Yeah, Pinterest, it's all there. Jada and David,
Nice.
And
jadaanddavid.com.
jadendavid.com. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I'll have that linked for everyone. Y'all just type in Jada and David anywhere you want, and we'll pop up.
Pop up.
But yeah, well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed chatting with y'all and hearing your story and all of this.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was great to connect. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for watching live or the replay, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye, y'all.